Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Cassie. Today we're going to be taking a look at two of the new club kits from Spellbinders. We're going to be looking at the wax seal of the month. It says congrats on your new chapter, and it's square, which is pretty cool. And then I got cloudy sky wax beads with mine. I'm not sure what you got with yours or what you're going to get with yours, but that's what I got with mine. And then here is the stencil of the month. Now there's 5 stencils in there, and you can make 3 different backgrounds with that. Actually, the possibilities are endless when you think about the color combos, but 3 for sure different types. So we are going to ink that up. We're going to make 3 backgrounds, and then we're going to put a wax seal on all of them. So I've got cardstock that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to use a little bit of mint tape to hold that down onto my Tonic platform. And then I am going to put this first stencil over the top. What I've discovered with these is the ones that you want to use first are the ones that go right to the edge. And there are, for the first 2 backgrounds I'm going to show you, there are 2 stencils per. And then that last one is just 1 stencil. So I'm bringing in this Prize Ribbon Distress Oxide ink. I chose some bright colors based off of my cloudy sky. So the wax beads that I ended up getting, I chose some colors that I thought would go well with that cloudy sky. So I'll pull that one away and I'll wipe away the Distress Oxide that got on my Tonic platform, and then I'm going to bring in some picked raspberry, and I'm just blending that through this next stencil. They're very easy to line up. I think these would look so cool on top of colored cardstock, you know, especially since they're Distress Oxides, so there's a lot of great potential with these stencils. And they're fairly neutral type. You could use them on any kind of card, which I think is pretty neat. So this is what I was talking about. I grabbed in that first stencil, and I don't think that one's going to work. I think I need to bring in this one first. So that's what I'm going to do. And again, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches is the cardstock that I have. These stencils work well with A2 size cards. Or anything smaller, I suppose. So I've brought in some, I think this is peeled paint. Or it might be the olive one. I'll have all the colors linked down below in the description box. No, that one was peeled paint for sure. Okay, so we've got peeled paint. I'll clean up the ink around the edges. As you can see, I'm doing that with a microfiber cloth. And then I'll grab in that last stencil, put that in there. Again, fairly easy to line up. And once again, I'm going to bring in the picked raspberry. I wish I had brought in that prize ribbon with the green, because I think that would look even better. But this will make, I think, a good baby card, since we've got green and pink, and then when I finally put the wax seal on it, it'll be blue. So it'd be perfect for a neutral baby card. All right, so there's that background. These kind of make me think of like Alice in Wonderland, you know, with how wonky they kind of are. It's neat. And then this final one is just 1 stencil. So I'm going to put that down. Obviously, you could go with 1 color across the board, but what I've decided to do is bring in some mint tape and mask off some of those lines. I want to go every 3rd. So I'm going to take mint tape and we will mask off every 3rd one. And we'll start with some Candied apple. So we're just going to blend that on there. Again, these are all Distress Oxide inks. And then I'll peel those off, and I'm going to clean off the stencil since there's only 1 stencil, and you obviously don't want to get contamination there. So I'll peel that off, clean it up, and then we'll bring it back in and try and line it up. So I was struggling a bit trying to get this lined up. It's really not that hard, but I was struggling. So finally got it on there. We can put that down with our magnets, and then we'll put our tape masking now the second one. So we just want to make sure that we have all those covered so that we don't get any contamination onto the next ones. And some of that red will end up transferring into the green, but not a whole lot. It's kind of hard to tell. So once again, with our peeled paint and blending that. And this is the one where you can kind of see that red kind of seeped in, but it's not a big deal. All right, once we're done with that, same process. We'll peel that off, clean it up, put it back down, line everything up, and then we'll mask off the last ones. And we're going to use prize ribbon for that one. I really like this bright red, that olive type green and then that bright blue together. I feel like it's a really beautiful combo. Of course, I just love color, so. But this stencil is really cool. Again, you could use it for any and all occasions. I mean, you could even make some fun Christmas cards with this one. So it's a nice neutral background for any occasion. Just depends on the colors you choose. All right, so now that that's done, we'll peel everything away and take a look at that background. I like the way that looks, but I want some splatter because I am going to use a gold pen later on the wax seal. So I've brought in some gold paint that I'm going to splatter all over all three of those backgrounds. It'll draw in that gold and make everything a little bit more cohesive, but I mean, gold splatter just makes me happy, so that's another reason I'm doing it. I do end up trimming down these last two backgrounds a little bit just to make them a little bit smaller, and you'll see that in the final cards because I want some of the white from the white base that I've chosen to come through. So we'll clean up our mess, let those dry, and this is where I'm going to bring in, well, after I show them to you, this is where I'm going to bring in our wax seal. Now it's square, which is super cool. Last month's was oval. And so this is going to prove a little bit, not a challenge, but, you know, trying to figure out the best way to put that wax down. I've got my cloudy sky inside my holder, and then I've got my wax seal kit all ready to go. Now, I've explained this before. I don't use an open flame because I have cats and a lot of paper in here, and I just don't trust it. So I'm going to start off with 5 beads because I thought that 5 beads would be enough. If it's your first time using in your deal, you know, or you've got it all cleaned out, it's like you need one of those beads to be a base at the bottom. So it's like I'm actually using 4 beads in this, if that makes any sense at all. But then I'm just going to heat set this with my heat tool because, like I said, I have cats and this works just fine. I know some of you were mentioning like an electric heater one. I think that's kind of a cool idea. I have not actually looked into it because my heat tool works okay. And what I'm trying to do here is put it into the shape of a square, a little bit more of a square. And then we'll stick our wax seal down into it. And this is where I felt like that wasn't quite enough. So you'll notice, obviously, there is some of that wax that has stuck around inside my little holder. That's about the equivalent of maybe 1 whole bead. So I'm going to add 5 more beads to this one. And I don't love that one that I did, so I will let that cool down, and then I'm going to cut it up, and I'll reheat it later, which you can do that. So if you don't like what you've done, as long as you didn't mix a bunch of colors, you're good to go. So now we're going to make another square. This one turns out a whole lot better. So we'll put that in there. We'll let it cool down a little bit. As you can see, I'm just going to cut this one back up and put it right back inside of my little wax holder. And then we'll add another bead for safe measure. And I like how that turned out. So we're going to let that one kind of cool down, but isn't that neat? I love the saying, congrats on your new chapter. All right, so this is how I'm going to put them together. I'm only going to show you this one. I'm going to wrap some twine around there. This twine is kind of stiff. So this is not going to work super great to put my wax right on top of my paper. So I'm not going to show you that. I am going to show you putting the wax seal on after the fact. And I'm just going to wrap that around 3 times. I'm going to use some like rip and stick tape to hold that in place. And I can kind of manipulate those and move those around. I'm going to do it on all 3 though. So all 3 of them are going to be done basically the same way. And then I'll peel off that release paper on the back, and I'm also going to use some glue because I want to adhere this down using that glue, but wanting to make sure that that twine stays where it is, using that rip and stick was a good idea. Or score tape, whatever you have. So I'll put that down. I've left a white border on that right-hand side, and then just kind of seeing how that's going to look on there. I'm going to use foam squares because just using glue on this one isn't going to work. So I'm using foam squares. That will ensure that it stays on top. I'll peel off all the release paper on those and push that down really nicely on the spot that I want it. And then I'm going to use a Gold Deco foil pen. They have these in the Spellbinders store. and I'm just going to go right over the raised edges with it so that the wording stands out a little bit more. And again, that will draw in those little gold specks that I have on the background, the gold splatter. And that's how that's going to look. I really love how that turned out. And so I did it for all three. And of course, Miles, my supervisor, is checking it out. I think he's happy. So he's going to take off. But there are the 3 cards that I made for you today using the brand new Stencil of the month and the Wax Seal of the month. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button. Definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. And as always, I'll see you very soon in another video. Bye, everybody.